Hi, welcome to Trading with TK, teaching you to turn ideas into money. We're at www.tradingwithtk.com, and today is Saturday, May 10th, and it's also my other son's birthday. So happy birthday, Kev. And he also deserves a shout out because he's responsible for setting up my entire blog. Without him, there'd be no blog, so I definitely owe him a big shout out. Happy birthday, Kev. Enjoy the day. Okay, so let's get to some of the questions that I've got. Four really good questions. The first one comes from Luigi, and Luigi writes, "This is my first time I'm writing to you. My name is Luigi from Italy. I would like to ask you if New York Stock Exchange stocks are good for day trading, scalping with small sizes in terms of exchange, execution speed, and how it compares relative to NASDAQ speed." Great question, because this allows me to tell everybody where the New York Stock Exchange has come to from where they were. Before they went public, we were a club. We were our little club, and no one was able to see inside that building very well. And we kept everything to ourselves. For instance, the New York Stock Exchange Specialist book could only be seen by the specialist and his partners, or maybe market surveillance if they had questions. No other brokers on the floor could even see the book, so it was a guarded treasure. All that has changed. But prior to that changing, I'd have to say that you had a better shot at making money on a scalping basis in the NASDAQ stocks, because you had level 1 and level 2. You could see more of the marketplace. On the New York Stock Exchange stocks, you couldn't see. You just couldn't see what the book looked like. But since they've gone public, it's all changed. You can now apply for what they call, now this is important, the New York Stock Exchange Open Book. It is basically the specialist book. You can see where all the orders are on the buy side and the sell side. It puts you on level playing field with him. He no longer has that advantage. So I'd have to say, because of this development, that your odds are better at scalping on the New York Stock Exchange than you are NASDAQ. Also, prior to the New York Stock Exchange going public, their reporting was so much slower than NASDAQ. Sometimes it would take a minute or a minute and a half before you even knew whether or not you bought or sold a stock. All that has changed also. With this new hybrid system they have in, the reporting is instant. It's just as quick as NASDAQ. So because the New York Stock Exchange has gone to this hybrid system, everything has changed, and I think your odds are a lot better at scalping at New York Stock Exchange stocks. And here's how you apply for that open book. You go to your brokerage firm that you're doing business with, call them and ask them how to go about applying for it. You actually have to apply to the exchange. And it's about $60 a month, but I think it's money well spent. So I hope that answers your question, Luigi. Next question comes from, now this one isn't signed, but it's a good question. I started recently reading your blog 3 weeks ago, and now it is one of my favorite sites. Your picks are great. My question for Saturday is, what time of the day about should we not trade? Some people say don't trade during lunch. Others say don't take a long position on a Friday. What's your take on it? Okay, the reason why they say don't trade at lunchtime is because most of the players, or a lot of the players, are away from their desks. They're out to lunch, they're in meetings, and the liquidity dries up. So technically what happens is things usually go on in the middle of the day that normally wouldn't happen if all the players were actively at their screens. And that's basically why they say don't trade at lunchtime, is because there's less liquidity and the picture isn't as clear. So it's busy from 9:30 to, let's say, 12:30, and then it dries up until 2:30, and it starts picking up again. Now, positions on Friday, if you feel like Friday's a barrier that you don't want to carry a position over the weekend because of a fear factor, then you probably shouldn't be buying the stock anyway. Fridays have never stopped me from buying a stock if I think it's at the right spot and I think it's getting ready to go any day now. Now, I may have to wait a day or two, but you never know. Monday morning could be the day. So if fear of carrying a position over the weekend is a factor with you, you probably shouldn't buy the stock anyway. But a lot of traders don't like carrying positions over the weekend, and that's why it's very difficult to keep a rally going on a Friday. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know who sent that in, but I thought it was a good question. Okay, next question comes from Adrian. Which stocks do the big boys watch mostly? You've mentioned Apple and Citicorp. Are there any others? Well, this is a good question because it gives me an opportunity to tell you who the big boys are. Okay, the big boys don't know any more than you or anybody else. What separates the big boys from you is that they're managing more money, and it's other people's money. It's not even their own money. So knowledge is not what separates the two of you. It's just that they're not trading their own money and they have a lot of it. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be right. So I'm glad you brought that big boy question up. They just have a lot of money, but it's not knowledge that separates you. Okay, what stocks? I watch Apple, I watch Citicorp. If I happen to be in a machinery stock, I'll probably be watching Caterpillar or Deere. If I'm in the solar stocks, I'm probably watching First Solar. Whatever industry I'm in, I will try and find the best of breed within that industry and follow that to see if I can get any kind of story message or what the story is going on in the premiere of that. If I'm in a biotech, I may watch a DNA. And if I'm in a drug, I may watch Merck. So it's basically the premiere of the group that you're watching that's related to, and that's what the big boys watch it, because the big boys need liquid stocks. When they want to come in, they need to spend $50 million today. You know, they can't buy a stock that only trades 500,000 shares a day. So they're going to go to the Mercks, the Citicorps, the Apples, and that's why they're important to watch those big stocks, and they give you a little bit of an insight into what's going on into the whole group. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Adrian. Next question comes from Michael. Michael writes, I have two questions for the weekend question and answer. How do you prepare for the next trading day, the night before, and the morning of? Also, what is your computer setup, and do you use multiple monitors, and what is your charting service? Okay, good question, because by 4 o'clock, I'm like a spent shell. Okay, I have absolutely no creativity left. My brain is still trying to calculate all the information I've taken in all day long. So by 4 o'clock, what I do, when the market closes at 4, I immediately go over to my soft chair. I put my head back, I put my feet up, and I snooze for an hour. I don't know if I'm meditating or what. I think I'm letting my brain catch up with the information that I've been watching all day. But, you know, a technical analysis is an art, and you need to use your artistic side of your brain. And by 4 o'clock, that's, you know, it's out of service. So I find that the best time that I'm most creative is early in the mornings when I first wake up at 5 or 5:30. I get on a computer. Matter of fact, some of the questions that I might have had the night before about certain situations that I've been struggling with, when I wake up in the morning, bingo, the answer is right there. It pops into my head. Because your brain is working all night long. Even though you're asleep, the subconscious works and it's processing. And a lot of times the answers will be there when you wake up in the morning. So it's early in the morning when I'm most creative. By 4 o'clock, you know, that's why sometimes it takes me a while to get the video up, because, you know, I'm snoozing for an hour. I have no creativity left, and so I hope that answers that question. What systems do I have? I have 2 computers and 2 monitors, although I'm not using both at the same time. One's a backup, because if the computer goes down in this business, you're out of business. So I always have a backup. I can just flip over and switch that one on and pick up 10 minutes later. What services do I use? I mostly use TC2000. I use Big Charts, and I use whatever service that the brokerage firm that I have my account with supplies me. But mostly I use TC2000. I find it to be very reliable and very diversified. It's an excellent service. So I hope that answers your question, Michael. So that's about it for our question and answer period this week. We'll probably do it again next week. So if you have any questions that you think the general public will be interested in, send them on in, and I'll try to answer them next weekend. So until then, this is TK signing off.